Work. Having graduated, I was looking through various application websites, various graduate websites that advertise jobs. I noticed Westinghouse came through one of them. I logged onto that site, went through a link to the web page, and it gave very clear, quite a clear progress through the website. It told me all about the company, told me about the grad scheme and what I could get out of it. Westinghouse has a number of key factors in its favour. I think for grads especially, it's got an excellent grad scheme, very well structured, very well thought out grad scheme, which is key, especially if, like myself, you've come up with a bachelor's degree. You need the extra matching section to make up for chartered status. Very big in for engineering. It is the goal, the ultimate goal. From a company perspective, it's a world leader. It's international, so there's always the opportunity to travel, move around to different places, which is very good. It uses cutting edge technology, and it's in one of the biggest key industries in the world. And the railway is responsible for more travel and more industry than just about anything else. So it's a big and growing economy. The application process is actually very straightforward, quite simple. Having applied to Westinghouse, I was approached by them by telephone to go for an assessment day. The assessment day is a full day, involved group exercises, individual exercises, some numerical testing, some verbal reasoning tests as well, and some group exercises involving moving things around using string and bits of paper and stuff. And it was a good day. It tested everything you needed to know for a group sort of exercise for an engineering environment, and it helped with the interviews as well. We had to give a presentation about a subject that we found interesting to work on our presentation skills, and we had to have interviews with line managers and engineers to test our competency. So it was a very thorough process, but quite straightforward, and it was an enjoyable day. The group of graduates we're with is quite a diverse group. We're drawn from all over the company. We're not just in one office location, and all our training is carried out as a group. So every time we go away on a course, we're pulled in from the different sites, and we work together and we get to know each other, which gives us the ability to operate across a company. We have people who know about mainline, people who know about mass transit, people who operate in all the different areas. So it allows us to gain different perspectives and experiences. One of the key things, in addition to our courses, we go go-karting, and there's a process to set up a go-kart league at the moment, which should be quite interesting, although fairly competitive, I would imagine. So we'll have to see how that one pans out. From the start of our course, we've been involved in project work. I myself work for mass transit. I work on the London Underground system. From day one, we had our induction. At the end of day one, I was given my tickets to London to go straight out and get involved with meetings, and we were straight into the projects. So there was no sort of transition period. It was very much a case of getting involved and getting into the team, which is a great motivator to get involved and to really drive you forward. It was actually quite a rapid process as well, because having got into the team, we had 2 weeks of project work before we went off on our first training course. We went away for a month to learn all about the railway, about all the technology used. Coming back, we then got into a more responsible position within the team, in actually using some of our training and taking a real part in a project. On the day, we were in groups of I think 8 at the time. A mixture of graduates. We were escorted around by last year's graduates, which was very good because we got a good view of the company from previous years. We spoke to engineers and managers, project managers from within the company, so we had a good idea of what the company did to back up what we'd seen on the website, which is very important because you can't really understand a company until you actually get into it. So the current workforce at Westinghouse have actually been very supportive, and they're very interested in what we have to offer, our potential. We are the future, as we keep being told, and I think they recognise that, and they brought us into our projects very much so. All our graduates here that I work with are all deeply involved in projects. They're all involved in the technical aspects of what they do. It's not like we're observers. We're actually right there writing documents and attending meetings that are going out to contractors and moving projects forward. So it's been a very supportive, very almost like a family atmosphere, if you know what I mean, but without being too family. From the moment I joined Westinghouse, I was actually quite surprised by the level of integration there was so early on, and the amount of responsibility we were given. I expected it to be a little bit more hierarchical, with a lot more rigid structures to how we did things, a lot more rigid separation between graduates and professionals. But it's the fact that it's so well integrated and we're getting things straight from the office is brilliant. The graduate program is very well structured. It lasts for 3 years. The first 2 years we're conducting some sort of training pretty much every 3 weeks throughout the two, or at least for the next first year. That training is very well structured. It allows us to learn something new, and it gives us just enough time to apply it and to work out how to apply that efficiently before we get on to the next training. At every stage we're allowed to add a little bit more to what we do and increase our responsibility in our projects when we return. So it's helping us grow as people as well as engineers. The second year, it allows us to go in more project orientated, more responsibility, but on a more professional level. The training is a little more distant and a little better separated, but it backs it up, it reinforces it, and allows us to develop in larger chunks as opposed to short steps. So it allows us to drive ourselves and develop ourselves, as well as having been pushed by the company. From the end of the first year of our course, it starts to become a lot more driven by the individual. For the first year, there's a lot of stuff you have to learn because of the way the industry operates. You have to learn particular technology, particular patterns of industrial operation. From the end of our first year, it starts to become a lot more individual, and you have a lot more opportunity to influence where you go and what you do. So yeah, it is driven by us a lot of the time, and we can decide our own futures. The graduate scheme is an excellent development tool for an engineer, and it really helps us along the road to chartered status, which is our main goal for engineers. I myself see myself working for Westinghouse for quite some years. I think the graduate scheme is just the start of that, and I think it will lead to much bigger and more interesting things later on.